Now, yesterday we were telling you about how we might have a deal in Syria. All of a sudden, here comes a deal. John Kerry, of course, said, oh, well, is there anything they could do? I guess they could turn over all their chemical weapons immediately. And the Russians were like, yes, hold on, we're going to work on that. They went to the Syrians. The Syrians are like, okay, wait a minute. We're seriously considering that. I think we might do that. Today, they say, Siktirlan, we got a deal. We'll take that right away. So is President Obama considering it? Now, understand that this was just an off-the-cuff remark by John Kerry. They didn't actually intend this to be policy. The State Department tried to walk it back immediately. But now that all of a sudden there's an out, President Obama, like the Russians, says, I jump in it. Here he is with Diane Sawyer.
If Bashar al-Assad yields control of his chemical weapons to international authority, are we back from the brink? Is military strike on pause?
Absolutely, if in fact that happened. I don't think that we would have gotten to this point unless we had maintained a credible possibility of a military strike, and I don't think now's the time for us to let up on that. I want to make sure that that norm against use of chemical weapons is maintained. That's in our national security interest. If we can do that without a military strike, that is overwhelmingly my preference.
Well, look at that. Absolutely would consider it. In other words, I was going to lose the vote in the House anyway. It looked like Congress was going against me, let alone the Senate, where Rand Paul was threatening a filibuster. Mitch McConnell today said he would vote no. Johnny Isaacson, all these war-loving senators, all of a sudden, when Obama's president, don't love war as much, they were going to vote no. So he's like, would I consider not going to war? Yeah, all right, yeah, sure, I'd consider that. Okay, fine. And then we call it a victory for diplomacy, which, by the way, it would be. So look, who cares who gets the credit? It would be a good resolution to this in the end. I'm going to come back to whether we have a deal in a second. First, more from the president on whether he would take this or not.
Will you delay a strike to see how that plays out?
I think it's fair to say that we would not be at this point without a credible threat of a military strike, but I welcome the possibility of the development, and John Kerry will be talking to his Russian counterparts. I think we should explore and exhaust all avenues of diplomatic resolution of this. But I think it's important for us to keep the pressure on and to quote, or to paraphrase at least, a former U.S. President, Ronald Reagan. It's not enough just to trust. I think we're going to have to verify.
I mean, we're going to have to verify and all that. But I mean, if they're really going to give up their chemical weapons and I don't have to take that vote in Congress,
I jump in it.
So we might have a deal. And so now we go back to Syria. What do they say? Today they say, well, yesterday we were thinking about it. Today we're done thinking about it. Yes, we'll take it, okay? Furthermore, after saying that they would take the deal, they said they will actually sign the chemical weapons treaty and they will turn over their entire chemical weapons arsenal, which they had never even admitted to having before, which is also comical. They have one of the largest stockpiles of chemical weapons in the world. They're going to turn that over to Russia, other nations, and the United Nations, and they're like, do with it as you will. And by the way, that's obviously the smart political thing to do if you're Syria, because using chemical weapons gets you in tremendous trouble, whereas Bashar al-Assad has had no trouble massacring his civilians without chemical weapons. He already has an enormous weapons advantage, so there's no sense in using the chemical weapons. So it's an easy deal for him. President Obama looked like he was going to lose the vote in Congress for authorization anyway, so it's an easy deal for him. The Russians look like they're the peacemakers. It's a win-win-win. And we avoid a giant war in the Middle East, which is a giant win for us, the citizens of the world. Now, of course, unfortunately, Bashar al-Assad will likely, of course, stay in office there and continue that horrible, disastrous civil war. So the people who suffer are the Syrian people. Keep that in mind. And so it's not a clear win for the whole world. There is still a dictator in charge there, and there is still a terrible civil war. But in terms of avoiding a wider war that no one wanted, this looks like a great deal.